I made a $15,000 mistake on these staircases. In this video, I'm going to show you how I built these two mirrored monostringer staircases and the costly errors I made. The end result turned out great. Everybody involved did an amazing job and the customers were awesome people. This is what it looked like before the renovation of the staircases and the renovations of the home. Every one of these staircases starts with getting accurate measurements so I can input the data into my CAD modeling program. CAD programs are awesome for fabrication because you can build whatever it is in the software, saving you a lot of time by not drawing everything out by hand. You can get all your angles, measurements from the software, eliminating the guesswork and to cross-reference any data to make sure your progress is moving along accurately. And this is my SketchUp model that I use to build everything off of. Most of my projects start in my Grizzly bandsaw. This is where I cut all the stringer beams, platform components, and risers. I pulled the riser location data from my CAD model, transferred them to the stringers, and placed them roughly where they'll go. I know it's controversial to some, but I like to tic-tac most of what I do. It's just a matter of preference. I like to keep my tacks neat and small so I can blend them easily with the MIG welder. Plus, tacking stuff with the TIG welder, it's just you don't have to deal with all the spatter. It's a lot, to me, it's a lot cleaner. I just have OCD when it comes to it, so don't come for me. Once I got all the risers tacked up, I MIG welded all the joints. I like to bounce around when I'm welding stringers to prevent the center beam from turning into a banana. Luckily, this is all 3/8 inch wall tubing, so it wouldn't deform easily, well, as easily as like an 1/8 inch wall. Here's some of my MIG welds. I actually I burned up a Miller 215, one of those small welders, and I had to go buy a Miller 255. So that was a brand new welder to me. So if you see some shitty welds, don't come for me. I laid out and tacked up the first platform and created a fixture with a bunch of stops on my segment table. Being that I had two of them to make, I could just position the next set of components against the stops and then tack the second one together. When I tacked the mounting plates onto the risers, I actually lifted up the stringer with my forklift so that was at the height it was required to be, so I could just locate the plates on the center of the tube and then make sure they were level both ways. I actually had all the tread plates laser cut to save me a ton of time on drilling a massive amount of holes. All I had to do was deburr the plates, countersink the holes. I also had a square hole cut out of the center, so they fell corner to corner to the riser tube. That way I could just burn a hot fillet weld on the inside of the tube and they won't be seen. Here's a clip of when I was tacking them on. I kind of kept the tacks away from the corners, so if I had to cut one out, I could get the cutting wheel in there. I also like doing it this way because you can set the plate on the riser, see where it's already sitting level, and then tack one side first, and then kind of push it down with your hand so it's level, and then tack the other side. Here's my hot MIG weld pass fillet on the inside of the square. I actually fabricated a mobile gantry to get these stringers off my trailer at the job site rather than having to rent a piece of heavy equipment. The whole thing assembles and disassembles pretty easily, and I could use it for future projects. I was at the shop at this point getting a couple last minute things done before I met my buddies at FabTech Orlando. And here's my little gantry I made. It's looking good, looking strong, ready to work. Here's my first test lift of the gantry, lifting up one of those staircase stringers. It worked really good. I had no complaints. I didn't really lift it that high because it was tearing my beautiful wrap job. So that was it for then. At this point, I was loading up my trailer to bring the first stringer over to the powder coater. It's not always fun working alone when you're trying to do all this big, heavy stuff, but thank God I have the forklift. Boom, there she is, ready to go to the powder coater. Don't worry, I didn't even strap it down. Boom, here we go, install day. The gantry worked perfectly. The only issue I had was one of my chain falls broke. Luckily, we had a second one, so it just took some shuffling around to swap it out. We were able to balance the stringer, so I could just pull my trailer out, and then we lowered it right down onto some heavy-duty padded carts that I made. We were able to wheel this 1,200, 1,300 pound stringer right into the house with no problems. I set up a heavy-duty wood beam on some sawhorses to lift a stringer with a chain fall. When we did the second one, I actually bought an electric hoist, which was so much easier. Once we got to the stringer to the correct height at the top, we used a floor jack to lift the end up to bolt the platform together. We had to notch some flooring out to make some room for the mounting plate, and then we anchored it to the concrete, and then we lag bolted the top plate to the header. And here's the first stringer installed. It came out great. We didn't damage any of the flooring, which was awesome. I was super nervous about that to begin with. Um, but yeah, all in all, it went great. And here's the second stringer installed. The customer had their own carpenter do all the woodwork and the lighting. They did a really amazing job, and they were pretty nice to work with. So here's where things go south. The glass work. The day I was supposed to install the glass, there wasn't supposed to be any contractors at the location. While I was in the house installing all the glass tailends, a contractor that was installing palm trees with a crane kept coming in the house and asked me to move my trailer. Now I'm a 2-hour drive from my shop. I needed to get this done today, and every time they wanted me to move my truck, it was a 15-20 minute delay in my progress. They came in about 4 times, and each time I reluctantly wanted to move it, and I was verbally and visibly annoyed. When I was installing the very last glass tail end, they came in and got me again to move my truck. I already had all the glass unstrapped as I was ready to start bringing glass in. Well, this time, last minute, I was pulling my truck forward. They asked me to go around the loop and park back in front of the house. I wasn't stressed about the glass falling off my trailer, as they were in some stable crates standing vertically. Well, so I thought. One of the walls blew out of the crates and about $12,000 in glass fell off my trailer. No, my insurance company didn't cover it. That's a whole other story that really struck a nerve. There's nothing I hate more than insurance companies. They're the worst. Moral of the story, I'll never move my truck for anybody, especially if I have something expensive on my trailer. The staircases came out amazing, the house looks great, and I'm very appreciative to be a part of the project. Please like and subscribe because I have a lot more content to share with you. Thanks for watching.